Okay, it's 4 o'clock on Thursday, November 10th, 2016. We have a quorum, so I'll call this New Ulm Public Library Board meeting to order. First off, we were going to do the recognition of outgoing library board members, which includes Marie Goulden and Marion Klimek, but Marion is not here right now. She's going to be here in a little bit. So we're going to table that until she gets here, and then we'll interrupt our normally scheduled agenda to take care of that, and then the mayor can duck out after that. So we'll move to the second part, the approval of the agenda, which is everyone should have a copy of it printed in front of them. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Besides the change of the order for inserting the recognition when Marion gets here, are there any other changes? All right, hearing none, then all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next will be the approval of the minutes from our October 13th meeting. I hope everyone's had a chance to review the meeting minutes. And I'll entertain a motion to accept them as printed.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of October 13th, 2016 Library Board meeting. Any other further discussion, changes, or edits that anyone knows of? All right, then if not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Next up is the October 2016 financial report and summary, and that would be Kris.
That starts on page 8. We're 83.56% through the year, and our budget is approximately 89.7% expended. Of course, we've been anticipating this because of our capital projects. So in our normal expenses, they are tracking as we expect. And just a reminder here that under special events programming, that number is high because we had that pass-through grant that we weren't anticipating. So I just wanted to provide a reminder on that. On page 9, I estimated expenses through the end of the year based on a question that came at the last board meeting. So for this year, we average monthly expenses of $53,300. And so if you carry that out for the whole year, we'll expend $639,450 for the whole year. Then you put in those capital projects, the total estimated expenses is about $134,000. So if you're looking at all of our estimated general expenses plus our capital projects, we're looking at $773,000. Our budget was $736,000. So I'm estimating that we'll be about $37,000 over budget. Please realize that that is just an estimate. And so to answer the question from last month, we will begin to go over our 100% sometime in early December. And I spoke with Nicole Jorgensen, our finance director. There's no issue with that. She didn't even need to know because not only did you approve these, the city council also approved these capital projects. Are there any questions about just our general expenses or the estimates that I provided? Thank you.
All right, then we'll move on to the librarian's report. And we'll start with the library department activities report and statistics.
Yeah, and Vince, is it okay if we go back to the 2017 budget update?
Oh, sure, sorry, jumped right over that.
I wanted to mention to you that last month I knew that the Traverse de Sioux fees for member libraries were changing. I have estimated numbers at this point. I don't believe, Holly, they've been approved by the board. But we originally had budgeted $803 increase in our Traverse de Sioux fees for 2017. That increase has changed now to $1,974.
1974?
1974. And I will let you know when that is approved by the TDS board. They're meeting next week, and that may be on their agenda. So how do we make up the difference? The Brown County Commissioners have preliminarily given Brown County Libraries $3,500 extra for 2017. That's not going to cover all 5 libraries' increases. It'll be close, but it won't cover it all. And those numbers are anywhere, we're the highest at 1974, all the way down to Hanska has a $211 increase. There are many ways that they could divide that pool of $3,500. In the past, they've always split the money evenly. So we all get $14,000, no matter our size, no matter our increases. They could change that formula. And the Brown County Library Board is going to meet next Monday in Springfield, and this will be on their agenda to discuss. If, in fact, we don't get all of our expenses covered through the Brown County Board, we will look at our AV budget, which we had added an additional $1,000 for next year, and we will pull it from there. It's in reality a very small piece of our overall budget, but we will have to make that adjustment in the accounting. Unless there's some other area line item you would rather see it pulled from, my thought was would come from the overdrive budget. We were going to add $1,000 for electronic materials.
So you think that portion will be able to cover it then, and it wouldn't negatively impact the overdrive?
It will, but it will because even if the scenario is if they divide it equally, the $3,500, we'll be $471 short. And it's going to have to come from some line.
Yeah.
And I'm proposing the overdrive.
Does it have to come from one line, or can it come from multiple lines?
Can
where
come
we
from multiple lines.
So, I mean, we can look at it as we go through and just determine who's under budget, and then we could.
Yep. And as I mentioned, it's really a small portion of the overall budget. So I think several lines could absorb that.
Okay.
Kris,
Yes.
just refresh me. When we went before the Board of County Commissioners, we asked for extra money last year. Was that to cover part of this increase?
When we went back and when we went to the Brown County Commissioners in August, yes, we talked to them about it covering the increase in our TDS fees. And at that time, it would have covered the increase in the fees that were set at that time. Now, since that time, TDS has reworked their numbers, and now it's no longer going to cover everybody's proposed increase. It's short, about $200.
Okay.
But also the commissioners, when we were in front of them, that was for next year's budget, right?
That's for 2017,
Yes.
yes.
That's what we're talking about
Yes,
here.
Okay.
yes.
Oh, I thought you had this one already coming now.
No.
Okay.
So I will keep you posted as I hear from the Brown County Library Board, from the TDS Board, and we'll make those adjustments as they come.
So when did you say you would think they were going to make that decision?
On what line it would come from?
No, the amount and how they're going to divvy it up.
The Brown County Library Board is meeting next Monday. I anticipate that they'll make a decision about if we do in fact get those funds, because the
Right.
Brown County Board won't decide until December.
Okay.
I would anticipate they'll have a formula decided on next Monday. Marion, does that sound reasonable?
So, yes, because we only meet twice a year, and we meet in June and in November.
Okay. So then if a decision is made and since we're probably not going to have a December meeting, we probably won't know till beginning of next year then.
Correct.
Okay. All right, anything else on the budget then? Is that everything you wanted to cover, Kris?
Yes.
Okay. So now that Marion's here, we'll jump into the recognition of the outgoing library board members. So I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Well, as you already have figured it out, there's two that are leaving. I believe Marion has been where you were on once before, right? So this is sayonara. You don't even get a year off and then come
No,
back.
not this time.
So Marion, I do have a certificate for you.
Thank you.
Anne Marie is a member from January of 2011 to December 2016. I believe this was, you do have one term left, but not next year.
If I
We
may
can
ask.
write that in the book.
Thank you.
Thank you both for serving, and there's one more job you have to do. You gotta find your replacement. No, I'm
That's the toughest part.
All right, now we'll go to the librarian's report. And we'll start with the library department activities report and statistics.
That starts on page 17. The Friends of the New Ulm Library Board met on October 4th, and they approved a donation for grand prizes for next year's summer reading program. They also are going to sponsor a book fair at Barnes & Noble on Sunday, November 27th, and online that week. The Friends of the Library had their book sale last week, ran for 3 days, and I just got the numbers. They took in about $1,600 from sales and donations, and about $400 from memberships. So it's about, I would say, average for the book sale, and we're just very grateful for all of the hard work that the Friends did. It was a really lovely book sale once again. The reference librarian has been working with New Ulm Workforce and Adult Basic Education. The goal is to provide some materials at the library so patrons can realize that there are opportunities for continuing their education, getting some certifications. And what I'd really like to see are some classes being held in our meeting room. And we're hopeful that that will take place, that they'll bring in computers and do some instruction. We had a voter registration display up for a week, and we had 2 people register to vote, so I thought that that was a win. I was really excited. So that was in partnership with the League of Women Voters, New Ulm. Our Pumpkins with Bling program went fantastic, and big thanks to Hy-Vee for donating those pumpkins. We celebrated Teen Read Week in October. We had 8 teens participate just by sharing their favorite book with us, and then we randomly selected a $25 Chamber Bucks prize that was donated. We have a display case on the main level, and I don't say it often enough that Betty Roiger is instrumental in doing that when it's a library, when the library takes over that display case. And she and Diane Pinkert just do a fantastic job. They're so creative with it. So they did a fantastic Halloween display, and this month it's the Wednesday art group that meets at the library every Wednesday. They've brought their own pieces to display. So it's something that changes every month, and I encourage you to check it out. It's really neat. I spoke to Charles Anderson's careers class at New Ulm High School last month, and I took a couple of webinars. One was Aging in the 21st Century, and I took one on marketing the library and got some good information from both of those. I also met with our new neighbors, Numas House, talked to the coordinator about how we could serve their residents. And I attended a Reducing Conflict and Working with Difficult People workshop. It was great for me as a really still new manager to get tips for how to be a better manager. So it was a morning session, and I found it very helpful. And then the City Safety Committee inspected the library and the Music Hall of Fame, and it's to anticipate any kind of OSHA visit so that we're staying ahead of the game. And so there are just a few things that our maintenance tech is going to work on, just tweaking. And then I'm so happy to announce that Marie is leaving the board, but she's coming on as an official volunteer at the library, as is Geraldine Schelberg. So we thank both of them for the time that they're going to commit to the library. And you see the statistics. I don't think there's anything of note. That's page 22 and 23. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So the Friends of the Library, you also mentioned there's in the write-up here, there's a book fair at the Barnes and Noble.
Right.
How does the money get raised for that?
We have coupons available at the library that we hand out to patrons. If they come to Barnes & Noble on the 27th and they hand that coupon when they check out, up to 10% of their purchases goes to the Friends.
Okay.
And we have always decided to take the cash rather than the credit at Barnes & Noble.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go online, you place there's a code and you put that in before checkout.
Okay.
And same, we get a portion of the proceeds come to the Friends.
So then those coupons are out when people check out books or something, they can pick one up? And
Right, they're at the desk. They were handed out during the book sale as well, which
Okay.
is sort of an annual thing.
Right.
We've been doing this in late November for a number of years.
Okay. All right, any other questions to Kris? All right, and then we'll move to the library conference reports.
And that was just a note to thank you for the opportunity to give us the time and funding to attend for me, I went to Minnesota Library Association conference in Duluth, and my report is noted in there. And you see Betty Roigers in there. She went to the Association for Rural and Small Libraries conference in Fargo. You'll see Lisa Sieve's report next month. And we just appreciate it, and all of us were very pleased with the sessions we attended.
All right, and we'll move into programming with Mary Braun.
Hello. The TDS CERC User Group Committee met on Wednesday, November 2nd for its biannual meeting. So we typically meet usually October and April, but there's a little flex with that. The meeting was mainly focused on setting criteria for database cleanup and going over procedures. Nothing earth-shattering happened at the meeting. And we'll most likely meet again, as I said, April, maybe March. Librarians don't like to get into May because then they're thinking about summer reading. And so that gets harder for people to be able to attend. But we'll see. TDS sets up those meetings. So for November events, we have the Minnesota Valley Civil War Roundtable. They'll meet on Tuesday, November 15th at 6:30 p.m. Their topic did change. I found out that the topic changed in October, and I think I have everything updated correctly. It was going to be the Dakota War refugee, but that is no longer the case. It's now GAR and the Women's Relief Corps. Same presenters, reenactors Teresa and Vince Bergdahl. And GAR stands for Grand Army Republic. I did have to ask that as well. So basically, these are both groups, if I understand it correctly, they were kind of those early veterans groups. So that's what the focus will be. And just a reminder, that group meets the third Tuesday of the month, September through May. WCCO radio meteorologist Mike Lynch will teach a stargazing and astronomy class at Harmon Park on Thursday, November 17th at 6:30 p.m. The program will start indoors with an orientation of the night sky, and then we'll move outside where people will use large telescopes to take a closer view of the night sky. And Mike supplies the telescopes and the information. This program is made possible with a partnership with the City of New Ulm Parks and Recreation Department, as we are using their park, as well as the Travis DeSue Library Cooperative with funding from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. So this is a regional program. There's a large number of libraries that are having this program. I don't know if any have happened yet. I haven't heard anything from any of the other libraries or from Jessica at TDS how it's going, but I know Mike has been doing this for a while, so I'm not worried about it. On Saturday, November 19th from 9:30 to 5, the library will host a second Pokemon Day at the library. Events include Pokemon Go, Go Lures, games, crafts, and other Pokemon fun. Also on Saturday, November 19th from 10 to 11:30 a.m., the Silent Book Group will meet. People are welcome to read whatever they want during the strictly enforced quiet reading time. The group will take a break at 11:15 to discuss what they're reading. Treats are provided. And on that day, we also have Family Movie Saturday. November's film is Bedknobs and Broomsticks, starring Angela Lansbury and David Tomlinson, and runs for about 140 minutes. Family Movie Saturday is held the third Saturday of the month in the Children's Room. On Tuesday, November 22nd at 7 p.m., we're going to have a showing of the documentary Rediscover North America. This was a canoe team who traveled 5,200 miles from the Gulf of Mexico to the Arctic Ocean. That did include traveling the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers, and they did have a layover in New Ulm. Now, I don't know how much of the documentary focuses on New Ulm, but one of the members, Tom, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Kevany, he will be here to answer questions and talk about that journey. And he will also have copies of the documentary available for purchase. And this is a partnership with the Brown County Historical Society. They're the ones who brought it to our attention. On Tuesday, November 29th from 5 to 7 p.m., the library, in partnership with the League of Women Voters New Ulm, is hosting an informal meet and greet with the newly elected local officials. At this time, invites have been sent, though not yet, no reply received yet because it's only Thursday, and they couldn't be sent out till yesterday, to Dave Borkert and Tony Berg. They're the new Brown County Board Commissioners. David Christian, he's the new New Ulm City Council member, and Jonathan Shiro, he's the new District 88 School Board member. Hopefully we'll have replies back soon as to who can attend. We're hoping for all 4, but we do recognize that people may have already made plans. And that will also include light refreshments. So, hey, get them with the food. We know how this works. All of these programs are free and open to the public, and of course you can always go to our website to see other programs that we're holding, new programs as they pop up, and that is www.newulmlibrary.org. Are there any questions?
No questions, Mary, but I'm going to add one thing. We are directed to produce a St. Nick event, and that started after the chamber stopped doing a St. Nick event, and this will be the 3rd year that the library does it. Emma Gebser funds pay for a portion of this, and so I just finalized it today. St. Nick is unavailable this year, so we are going to have a story time and a craft on Saturday, December 3rd at 10 a.m. And there will, again, with the treats. Our plan, I guess, St. Nick, the big thing is putting out the shoe. So they're going to make their own shoe out of a pattern that we have, and then we'll put treats in their shoes to take home with them.
Mary, I had one comment,
Yeah.
and that was you had movie night this past week. What was the attendance?
I counted 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very well
You
attended.
ran out of water and popcorn. Luckily, I got there early.
Well, we would have had more water. I knew we had more water in the back, but the popcorn, some months we go through most of it. Other months I have bags left over. So it's hard to know how much to buy, whether or not people are going to eat the popcorn
That's
or
got to
not.
be one of the largest turnouts you've had for that.
I think so. Next month could also be a large turnout.
You think this one was because of the tie-in to the election and stuff too, or?
I certainly think so. I mean, particularly since I know one group who's been attending the series are very big into following politics, everything like that. So I certainly think that's part of it. In general, we've noticed with the series, because the September numbers were pretty good too, and in general, we've noticed this series seems to have really captured people. We think it's the time period that people just, because these are movies from late 60s, early 70s, so that just seems to have really grabbed people's interest. Because we're already talking, we're not talking about what the next theme's going to be, but we're like, we need to pick movies from this time period because people like them. So, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next then we'll do the Youth Services Librarian and Youth Services Aide update.
Well, I have information that we've had quite a change since the last time that we talked. Our youth services librarian, who we had offered the position to and had accepted, rescinded her acceptance of the position. So we met with Jan Kaveny, and she has accepted the position, and she will start as youth services librarian on Monday, December 5th. She is a longtime kindergarten teacher, and she is at District 88 as the intervention specialist currently. And as we were talking with our longtime youth services aide, Carla Feld, she's adjusting her hours. And so that's left us with a bit of a gap. And I spoke with Shauna in Human Resources about filling that gap. And there should be a posting to the public perhaps early next week for a 4-hour position for youth services aide. And this person would be have the same position as Carla Feld, just some additional hours to provide support for the youth services librarian.
You're talking 4 hours a day or?
4 hours a week.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. And then we'll go to the building update.
I did speak, well, by email with our engineering firm, and he said he's sent in the claim to be processed for his final bill. Haven't received it yet. Also have not yet received the final bill from Full Service. I'm expecting it anytime. And as William Swanson, who was here, did mention, he did process our rebate, and it'll be about $450.
So where's that rebate money go?
I will have to get back to you on that. I don't know if it simply comes out of the capital project. I would expect it to show up in the right line. The library exterior renovation line, I would expect there to be an adjustment on that. That's the top line on page 11.
And then what about the tile floor?
So that's on page 28. Took a look at how we could get the tile floor cleaned and came up with 3 options. Three possibilities was doing it in-house. Gene Byer, our maintenance technician who's working here through December, he's at the library 3 months, and then we get Jay Hughes for 3 months, and then we get Gene back for 3 months. Gene's done this kind of work before, and he thought he could do this. So he pulled some numbers together. He's been testing areas, and yes, he can do it. It's not perfect. The grout line in particular still shows some shiny wax, but I've been pleased. I think Mary would agree that we've taken a look at it. He works at a little patch at a time. He's working on the steps right now. On the flat, large pieces, we would get a floor scrubber from Park and Rec at no extra charge. So the estimate would be the cost of the cleaning solution, and then if we were to pay overtime, at this point we've not paid any overtime. He's just been doing a little piece at a time. This is a high estimate on overtime. I spoke with a supervisor who's Elwood Zabel, and Elwood is okay with whatever Gene wants to do. If Gene wants to shift his schedule a little bit, or if he wants to pick up overtime. We have the funding to pay him overtime to do it. And the reason I bring that up is because the smell is going to be an issue with staff. And we cannot do large section during a work day. We are going to have to do it on a Friday night. So that's a total estimate on that, $1,200. Service Master came in and declined to bid because they didn't think we would be pleased with what they could do for us. And then you see the bid from Bunchers and a note from them that says we would be satisfied with the overall look, but there may be shiny lines in the grout, which is what we're seeing with doing it in-house. So I've directed Gene to get started on it. but wanted to present it to you because we talked about it last month. The cost difference, 5,000 versus 1,200, it just seemed like a no-brainer to go ahead and do it in-house.
If you're doing it in-house, about how long?
That's a very good question. It's going to take longer than when Bunchers comes in, yes.
But are you talking about 4 to 8 weeks on Friday nights or something in that?
No.
Not that long?
No. My hope is that we have it done by the end of the year, because that's when he's done with us. We think we can get it done in perhaps 2 Friday nights, because it's going to take more than one time to pull it up. There's a lot of layers there. So if that sounds reasonable, we'll just continue with the in-house process. Okay.
All right, any other questions for Kris then for any of the librarian's report items? All right, if not, then we'll move on to the one action item we have, which is a resolution found on page 30. This is resolution number 2016-34 for approving the placement of Wanda Gog sculpture donated by the Wanda Gog Monument Committee, Inc. at New Ulm Public Library. A committee of local citizens has been planning and fundraising for the creation of a sculpture of New Ulm artist and author Wanda Gog since January 2014. In May 2016, the Wanda Gog Monument Committee, Inc. incorporated and became a 501c3 organization whose mission is to place and donate to the city of New Ulm and the public at large a monument to Wanda Gog, world-famous artist, author, and illustrator. A request for proposal was created, and artists from across the country submitted proposals. New Ulm native Jason Jasperson, who has more than 15 years of professional experience as a painter, printmaker, illustrator, animator, and sculptor, was selected to design and create a life-size bronze representation of Wanda Gog, and includes a cat in honor of Gog's most famous book, Millions of Cats. The New Ulm City Council accepted the donation at its November 1st, 2016 meeting, subject to a donation agreement being drafted by the city attorney and signed by the city manager and the committee chair. Photos of the donation are presented to the New Ulm Public Library Board with the request that the board approve the placement of the sculpture on the southeast side of the New Ulm Public Library. If approved, a public unveiling and reception will occur at New Ulm Public Library on Friday, November 25th, 2016, from 1 to 3 p.m. All right, so we have more information then?
Thank you, we do.
I'm here with Diana Schaefer. She's the chair of the Monument Committee.
Okay.
And other representatives.
We have had just a wonderful group of people to work with that have been so helpful in all aspects, that this thing is coming to a head faster than I expected it to. So November 25th is our date, and we have some pictures put together of what has been progressing through time here. The first one is Jason with the commission print, and this is what we had used. I guess this is the real one that's actually at the library, but we did prints off of this, and our business community, our local community, just citizens at large, have donated thousands of dollars. It is overwhelming to understand the magnitude of the gratuity that they have given.
Now, I saw there was one print at Plaza Garibaldi.
That is correct.
Now, and I'm assuming there's others that are around town. Now, did the businesses, did they have to donate to get a print? Were they free? Did they buy them? How did that work?
The prints were given to donators, and usually $100 would get you a print. So I believe that Marie donated to the school, and we have several others around the community, but there are several schools or libraries. We're talking about, just outlying communities that could benefit from having a print. So that's possibly in the works.
Thanks.
Mine is at St. Anthony's.
Yours is at St. Anthony's.
And I have one coming, and I think it's going to go to Washington.
Great.
Okay, great. And I think Danny Warda was having one in City Hall, and that's good to hear, so that we kind of know where they're going to be at.
So are there a limited number of prints available, or?
We still have about 100 of them available. That is correct. And we'll still continue selling because we do have costs such as the landscaping that we're still working on. So yes, we're still looking for funding. That is correct.
Okay.
So this is the quarter scale model that was at the unveiling held at the Grand Center for Arts and Culture. And this is I think this is the half scale model that is in Jason's little workshop gallery art studio. And this is the half scale that was unveiled at the New Ulm Public Library, and it was a kids' day. We did the adults the time before, and on the half scale we went to the children. They had a fun day. The cat has raised a number of dollars, whether children dropped in a quarter or a nickel or a penny, and we've had significant funds come through that donation cat. So then the full scale went to the Foundry, and if you've worked with sculpture at all, they are put together. They aren't just molded into one big piece, and they have to be brazed together. So this picture is of the quarter scale, whoops, Kris, the half scale, and the full scale with artist Jason Jasperson, our local New Ulm artist. And this is pieces at the Foundry, and Wanda's head at the Foundry, and the cat. And we're not sure what that is exactly. And these were sent right before Halloween, so it was a little scary, but yeah, more of Wanda. You can see the book. I think that this is after it comes out of the mold or whatever. And here she's starting to be put together. Her hands are still, one hand is still needing to be put in place, and her head needs to be brazed on. And there are her hands and her feet.
And the bottom right says "Made in New Ulm."
It is on the back of, so when you look at the statue on the label, it is made in New Ulm in so many ways. And there she is looking at the cat. I wanted to explain a little bit about the cat. I thought of, a nice silky cat that kids would love to rub. But what Wanda is doing here is she's looking at it from an artist's perspective. And Jason explained to me that artists often look at things and put them into context that they can break down. So the ears may be triangles and there's rectangles or whatever. So that's the perspective that Wanda is studying this animal. And her father said, draw what you see. And she's trying to put it all together. And there's our intense, aspiring young artist just taking it all in. Looking at the cat. I think this was still the clay model, the full scale before it went to the Foundry. And this is going to be on the side of the stone. We talked about having Wanda Gog on the end of the art stone piece that will be an Art Deco piece that will match the other part of the old library. We did not have enough room to put it on the end, so it will be actually on each side.
This is the base.
The base of the sculpture, yeah, the base of the statue. That's the other side. And this was a few weeks ago, and it's actually changed since then. But just to let you know that at that point in time, which was 11/1, we had more than sufficient funding to pay Jason yet and Hyman and all of those things that need to go into it besides the incoming money. And as I said, we've had even more funds come in. So we do have additional money now to work on landscaping. Any questions?
So
Have
when
you-
they put the pieces together, the head and all that, it's going to be a seamless transition. You won't even know that it was separate pieces?
You won't even know it. Nope, they're all melded together.
Okay.
Has everyone received their postcard yet? It should have came. If you haven't received a postcard, please let Kris know. We have sent out invitations, and they just went out, I think, Tuesday afternoon or whatever. So give it a day, and if you haven't gotten one, please let Kris know. Any other questions? we're very excited about this. It is going to be a wonderful addition to our community.
Thank you.
So
thank
if,
you.
if you get a big crowd show up on that day, how are we gonna handle, where are we gonna put the people, or we'll deal with it at that time?
Deal
Okay.
with it.
You deal with the
Don't
people
wanna
at
send in
that.
the street,
And
you know.
it might be. I mean, there's a possibility because a lot of people will be home. It is at 1 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock is going to be the presentation on Charlie Brown's Christmas. We have the parade at 6, and at 7 is going to be the lighting of the tree. So children could have a full day, and if they start out at the library, we have sent out about 150 invitations, so it very well could be very well attended. There is a program at the library. Children are going to be, we actually have, can I tell everything that's going on? Okay. We actually have an old lady and an old man that are going to mime or whatever the story of Millions of Cats. And Dr. Ann Vogel is going to be donating cat treats. And I bought a box along. Judy, you want to bring up a box of what's going to be handed out to the children, the little old lady and the little old man. These are actually fun things that came from Dohmeyer's store. They're called cat tongues. They are white and full milk chocolate. So these are for the children that will be coming. Then we will have Mr. Kimmel, and I'm sorry, do you remember the other?
Pamela Long.
Oh, Longton? Oh, Pamela Longton? Yeah. We'll be doing music for us, and we will have beverages.
We'll have a story time and a craft.
A story time? Yes, right. I think Gone is Gone is going to be also read to the children. So, yep.
Great.
Full afternoon. So thank you. And if you have any more questions, feel free to contact me. I do want to say this woman is the most remarkable person I know of. She is so organized and coordinated to bring things together. So thank you very much.
Thank you and your committee.
Thank you. All right. So now that we've had kind of a discussion on the Wandagog sculpture, I will entertain a motion to approve the placement of the Wandagog sculpture donated by the Wandagog Monument Committee, Inc. at the New Ulm Public Library, and it would be on the southeast side, as shown in the various paintings and prints that we've seen.
I will make a motion.
We're all fighting over it. Okay.
Yeah. I want to do it because it's my last meeting.
And I want to second it.
All right.
There we go.
So we have a motion and a second.
I will make a motion to approve the placement of the Wandagog sculpture.
And I will second that.
All right. So now we have the motion and a second. Any further discussion? Questions? Okay, then hearing none, then all in favor of approving the placement of the Wandagog sculpture, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried.
Thank you.
And then finally, the other business, December meeting, is just, we've put it on there to determine if we will have a need for a December meeting. I don't envision anything, then things you mentioned.
No, I didn't plan to have anything to present unless you have a burning desire to meet.
But if something should come up and you need us to meet, just let us know.
Okay.
Otherwise, then this will be Marion and Marie's last meeting then. So again, we thank you for your service. And then, so the new people will start in January?
Yes.
Okay.
One question, Vince, are we gonna do these two the same thing we did to the doctor? Are we gonna have him come back for one extra meeting?
No, I don't think so. I think we. All right. So then I'll consider the meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.